When we speak about ourselves, we speak about nature because we work hand in hand with the environment. It is the environment that we live in. The wise men have spoken about climate change. The great leaders of the nation have spoken about climate change. Very many activists have come out to share their ideologies about climate change. But then, is the solution being found? Very many years from now, where are we heading? What are we counting on for the safety of our own lives if we do not protect nature? Today is 25th of June 2022. I think we just remain with a very few days to close it and join and go in for July. And we are already in another financial year meanwhile. It is a Saturday, beautiful morning, just 11 a.m. and we are recording this live at AET-TV. This is the Youth Feedback with Bridget and Samantha, and today I happen to have hosted one of the great people that have a very great profile here that I will have to read from phone because this is great. You are welcome for the show.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's my pleasure.
All right. His name is Elikana Nduhura, and he is a medical student, yes, at MUST, and he is the Secretary General Nature Uganda, the MUST chapter. He's a co-founder, Student One Health Innovation Club, that is SOHIC MUST, and programs lead Change Climate Change Project. He's the Standing Committee Director for Public Health, MUST Medical Students Association, and also I see global engagements, that is Campus Ambassador at Planetary Health Alliance Consortium based in Boston of over 300 partner organizations addressing global environmental and its health impacts. Member clinicians for Planetary Health and Planetary Health East African Hub. Continent representative for Africa at International Students for One Health Alliance. Interface of human and animals' health in the environment. How do you make it? This is too much. How do you make it?
This is service.
This is service.
Yeah.
How do you get there?
Because
Because I see a lot. I see that you are representing the continent in, in One Health.
Society rewards you for what you do, and definitely whatever you do, people are seeing it, and when they are counting on a resource or someone to work with, then they'll look for you.
Wow.
These things are possible, and just there as well.
Okay. So that means that already creates a picture in my head that it is your availability and, capacity to do things that opportunities look for you. So outstanding. How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad to be hosted.
You're welcome. And today we are talking about climate change and climate change injustices, all to do with climate change. And our topic of the day is the youth and climate change. Mainly, I bring to you Elikana Nduhura, and you've already had his profile, all that he has done in regards to climate, the post that he's holding in regards to the environment, to nature, and all to do with health. And that is what brings him to the show today. What do you think are the climate change injustices in brief?
Injustices in brief. Yeah, so thank you so much once again for the question, climate change injustices. Let me take you to the health background, the perspective where I come from, and what I studied to do and what I do at the moment. If we start locally, we always quote the guidelines of the national constitution. So we have the Environmental Act, Section 3, which gives every person a right to good health and environment. So even when we're here, we're entitled to have a very nice environment which can support our health living. You understand? So anything that deprives us of that right is an injustice. That is just on a local perspective in Uganda, the Uganda National Environmental Act. So when we go global, health-wise, the World Health Organization, which is the lock onto which us medical people operate from, estimates that over 7 million people are suffering from diseases that are a result of pollution. And that is the greatest single risk factor for any humankind to disease. Environmental pollution of 7 million people worldwide. And it doesn't have to be that alone. They add that over 250,000 people are going to be suffering from malaria and diarrheal diseases, and these are also greatly attributed to the environment. So this is how far the injustice can go, and we don't have to look at those figures that are depicted by the WHO. Just come here to our referral, just in the opposite center. You'll find that very many women and men are just struggling with respiratory infections. There are things you would hear about. They'll tell you someone has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or emphysema, or you will hear people saying asthma. You know, those are diseases that are accelerated by environmental pollution, environmental injustices. So there is no injustice that is greater than the injustice which is predisposing you to a respiratory infection, because you thrive on the lungs. That's where your oxygen is. You know, so you don't need to go far to understand what these injustices are. And surprisingly, when you go there, you'll find that if it is to do with a respiratory disease or disease of the chest, let me use that simple term, women are more prone than men. You find that people are suffering from that. If there are 10 patients, you find 6 are women and 4 are men. You know why? Women are more at risk. And how? These are the people that are exposed more to the environment. If you go to the gardens, they are our mamas, digging, cutting the bushes, burning them, the smoke they are inhaling, you know. They are the ones at home cooking with those charcoal things you see, not clear. They go in the forest, get every kind of leaf, and they come to cook. So the smoke that comes from this is what actually destroys their lungs. But how do then men come into this? Because they also have some risks. They are the people who are cutting the trees in the forest and making timber, you know. And then they are the ones also doing charcoal burning, bricklaying. And you know, after doing that brick thing, you have to get whatever and burn the bricks. This is men now getting that exposure. Then there are the men on border inhaling smoke on the road. Because in our country like Uganda, this is where we know, that's where you years. And the car is producing gaseous fumes, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Those acidic gases, they are the men who inhale them most of the time on the road. But even you, Miss Bridget, you can inhale that gas. Me and you every day use a border. We are still young people. You pass by the road and you will be heading somewhere and you see someone producing fumes and you are like, what the hell, this person should be off the road. You know? So all these are injustices. It's not our wish, it's not our intention, but some people somewhere are dictating how they happen. Understand? So other injustices that exist, we can talk about the displacements, because now these are in certain communities and not in others. You were Ugandan, you understand how recently we had flooding, massive flooding in Kasese, where very many people have been displaced. Those along River Nyamwamba, they are displaced away from their homes. They are now in a refugee kind of setting. We call internally displaced camps put there by government so that they can be restored and fed. So someone who formerly had their home, they are now being fed. They are relying on help of people like me or the government to survive. It's an injustice. Everyone wants to be their home. Of course, after here, I know you're going to your place. You know, it feels good to be home. But imagine you getting out of home because someone else did something that is causing us threat. It's an injustice. It's never a nice one. You understand? There are so many injustices all over because it is not us who do them, some people do them, but also some injustices can be done by ourselves. The moment you're cutting that tree, you're doing an injustice to yourself. You might not know at the beginning because you're getting money perhaps, but the fresh air it was giving you is lost. Those are what we call ecosystem benefits, which I can expound more. Thank you.
You're welcome. There is someone who stated that it is better to stay in an environment that is peaceful than just staying in a coffin and you're happy. Just
No
due
doubt.
to climate change.
No doubt.
Sure.
Simple.
That is where we are heading.
Yeah.
Okay, you talked about the pollution, you talked about the deforestation, you talked about other things that are in line with climate change injustices. What do you think can have caused these injustices? Because there is a reason behind it. Why do we have increasing cases of injustices apparently in the world, I can say?
I would not want to label people as traitors or people like they are unserious, because all these things, I started by talking about the National Environmental Act. It was designed by people like me, people who know about the environment, who have studied masters, bachelors, PhD, and understand all these things. They sat and designed the National Environmental Act, have been paid, and they're supposed to enforce. But some are not enforcing. We have other documents that guide the country and other nations. You will be hearing about the Sendai framework, you will hear about the Hyogo framework. Those two are policy documents that have been signed by United Nations member states. Uganda is one of them. And these are frameworks that are put in. Sendai framework was signed in 2015, just here of recent. They are putting strategies to mitigate disasters like these floods should not be happening. They are looking at green business, making the economy green, sustainable. But the people, they go there, the ministers go there, sign, come back and share the documents to us. We recently had a COP, you always hear climate conference of parties. Uganda sends in money for many dignitaries to go and represent. Then when they come, they share the documents. But where does the injustice come from? We have people, so I will just bring the injustice into like 3 categories. 1, corruption. 2, ignorance. And then 3, the lack of balance, priorities for the country. If I start with, I will start with what is for everyone. Ignorance. Many people don't know about this. So most people don't understand that the tree you see there might look useless, but this is a tree that absorbs the dangerous gases we have in the environment. Naturally, scientifically, a person lives on oxygen, which is from a tree like that one, and gives out carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by the tree. So if there's no tree, carbon dioxide is going to remain in space. If carbon dioxide increases in space, then the heat containment of the environment increases. So you get a slightly elevated temperature, like the atmospheric temperature increases. And this is what you hear termed as global warming at some point. When you hear things like global warming, just think about carbon dioxide and these other gases, sulfur dioxide, those ones from exhaust fumes of cars you see on borders. So that person does not know that, which means because they don't know, they will be looking at the tree as useless. If someone knew, then they would be planting more trees. You understand? To save themselves. So it could be the ignorance of the matter. They don't know what's supposed to be done. If we switch to corruption, which is a daily song, the injustice, people want money and they are in power. So right now, me, if I use myself, I'll have my money and I want to invest, And because I want to invest, I will see the simple space available in my district where I come from as maybe an isolated wetland which is just thriving there, because there are very many of these, or hills. So I'll go, it's government property, Then I'll see like a district natural resources officer, sit on a table, buy them chai, they call it chai, and you buy some water. Then we agree, we negotiate on the money, if the government is releasing it to me, or if I'm giving him some money, and he will take the money. Because me, I want to invest. I don't care, I'm looking at myself. If I invest, my family will be okay. I'm not looking at the other people. So I'm doing it at the expense of the other people. So the community is going to lose the natural resource to me, just because of the money I have. You understand? And it doesn't take a second. This is what's happening in most of your communities. If you take a torch back there, you see this happening in real life. We've seen situations where the Chinese are investing everywhere, or even the businessmen of town are demolishing things in wetlands and putting them up. Then you see things like NEMA, they will come in and say, you are in the swamp, they demolish, 4 days later, they put it up again. So it's as corruption to that extent. People are not caring for others. And then that's the priority in this country. When you say the priority, environmental health, with these figures threatening as they are, 7 million people, they might look a joke to certain people who make decisions for this country. I mean, this would be the greatest investment the country can do. But what is with the environment? Does it really matter? So when they are budgeting, the money is put in other sectors. People would hear maybe the money is in maybe security or maybe agriculture, but the agriculture they are promoting is actually a different agriculture. They are actually establishing factories to process. They will say they are to process milk, bananas, coffee, but the factories produce exhaust fumes, and there's no control strategy up there. There is nothing to contain that smoke. So the money which is actually agriculture, which would be greening the area, is actually worsening the situation. I was in Tororo. I happened to visit Tororo in 2018 when I'd just joined the one health course offered by University of California, UC Davis. So we're in Tororo and we visited that Tororo cement factory, which it was threatening. Shock. Everything out there is black.
You should also visit him.
Yes, everything is black. And this person told us, because of this, they are worried they even do operations at night. It's only when they work at night, because the community people are just scared. People are going to my go. When you come when they are working and you see what is up, you might even be like, am I safe here?
Have you visited Hema Cement Factory?
I went there once. I didn't get the chance to see where they are. Fumes come from. I just rotated around and saw the poor hygienic state. Of course, something which is not well planned, you can easily see it. Yeah, but I didn't get the chance to explore. But I had a good overview of Tororo Cement Factory. It was horrible, So the priorities, the country cannot look at the green business. There's a green business that could be done. There are better things that can be done with this. But the balance, the little money available, where is it put? So these are the major perpetrators of injustices, and this is why we suffer, and this is why our people suffer, and that's why people are going to continue to suffer if nothing is done.
Very true. And they are suffering. You're talking about the environment when you are talking about corruption, and that just had to drive me to our own western region, talking about the Rizi region. Yes, people now encroaching on the River Rizi land for their own settlements and for their own let me call it pleasure, because if you just do something in a swamp area or in a riverside, that means most of these people are the rich men, are the big men, the men in power, I can say.
Yes.
So I think it's also part of corruption. But as you sat previously, you had a discussion, a district discussion as action
for youth
development. Which strategies would you have to protect our own region on that?
Yeah, the story of Riz is a very long story. It's been written on by scholars from University of California, University of British Columbia, who have been in Mbarara day and night studying about Ruiz, doing the geography. Even this university has a collaboration in California. A person who writes about Ruiz almost every day. Even gave us a lecture when I was studying water and sanitation. I remember that lecture very well, the environmentalist. He came here, he had a very number of publications about it. Ruiz has been here, and the cultural corridors that share Ruiz know this story. When I was in second year, we started the climate change project, and one of the targets we had was to get a solution to this Ruiz. We hosted student innovation trainings under CAMTEC. We called CAMTEC to teach students to innovate, to come up with concrete ideas that can be new and sustainable to save the Ruiz. There were like 6 projects that had come from young people's heads. They were good, but a project needs a funder, needs some money to run, especially for something big like that, because there's water, there are risks. They could not get the money, because our work, what CAMTEC used to do is to you come up with the idea, then you look for funding. If you don't get it, then don't do it. So, despite the nobleness of the ideas, they could not get the money to implement them. But I think like 3 months after the training, the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, through the Ministry of Water and Environment, they got 3 billion shillings. It's a grant. A grant is money given to support some of the community causes. I expected like that money to be shared with the students, since they had seen the good work that students had in mind. Nothing was done despite probing. I had a pharmaceutical science student here who had come up with a thought of using water hyacinths, that weed you see on top of the water, which is actually the reason why the water is about to disappear straight away. The student had an idea to turn that into some important product for people to use. The student's idea, by the time I gave the student the knowledge to go to the office where they had the money, they were like, some innovation idea has already come, and it is what this man is going to do. Up to now, nothing has been done. So I wonder whether the money was used or not. But that's how ideas can be suppressed. I've seen these things. So, as Action for Youth Development, our target is just those 3 core issues. Issue number 1, knowledge. Our strategy is to give knowledge to the people who matter. People like you and me. People who live in the village, they are the people who matter. Because people who do bricklaying are not the people who have finished the masters in business administration. The people who are there in the community, that's their survival. And they matter, they are key stakeholders. So we strategize that engaging the multiple stakeholders in this issue is going to help us to overcome such a challenge. And how do we overcome? Go to the community, meet them, talk with them, find out why they do certain things that they do. That could be one of the issues. Or call a conference. One day, invite representatives because of logistics. Talk to the representatives. If I talk to Miss Bridget, then I know she will talk to other university students. If I talk to the district health educator, I know he will talk to the VHTs. And the village health team coordinators will talk to the members of the community. And they will do something. They will do some work. So knowledge, give knowledge. If I talk to the journalists like you saw last time, if I call the journalists and they know how to report climate issues, then to be easy, people will be frequenting with environmental news, sharing with them. And that's how awareness works. 2, priorities. Advising the government on priorities, because this is a civil society initiative. So challenge the government. You should be like, government, hey, look here, agriculture even when you have given it good money, but put much of its money in green business. Yeah? Promote people planting trees, promote afforestation, those reserves of forests. Put the money there. If you're putting money in security, increase part of the funding in the forest training areas, because military, they train in forests. Increase that one, plant more forests, and say this is why you're going to train the next cohort. Something like that. Show them the priority and why it matters. And of recent, we also had a component in this priority issue, keeping government responsible. Because what we did, I don't know if have you heard of the climate change bill? So this is a paperwork that was passed by Parliament. So the climate change bill had a lot of things. Of course, the bills are always guiding what to be done, but the climate change bill is in English. Uganda is a multilingual community. We have over, I think, even 50 languages plus. It's in English. Almost 70% of the stakeholders affected don't know English. So how do we put it in a local language for everyone to understand? So scrutinize government interventions, how they are done. And of course, with corruption, sensitize. Make people understand that as you do something for your own benefit, even tomorrow, that money they give you and you eat, if you come to the hospital with a respiratory problem or a problem with your lungs, that money will be used. So why not keep with the little money you have, but you don't get problem with the lungs? Or why not work out a better way? Why not use that field to plant, for example, trees that will give you maybe money, or fruit trees? Because if you plant acres of mangoes, you'll be selling mangoes when the leaves are still there. So for us, we'll be happy with the climate issue, but for you, getting your money. There's green business, green jobs. They are there. There are very many. Those women you see on the road are selling those flowers, trees. That's green business. They are doing well and they are getting money. So invest in that. If you're an investor, it's far better.
Go for a short break, and then when we come back, we can just start from there.
bananga bami n'abakyala naze kubanyonyola nti bw'oba ng'olina omukolo gwonna gw'olina oyagala kuyingira ennyumba, olina lonchi gy'okola, olina woteeri, olina embaga, olina ulumbe, olina buli kalonde yonna ng'oyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamu ne ku Facebook. Njagala kugamba nti Untitled TV be basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo, balina kamera ennungi nkambwe, balikirya nnyo, bamanyi kibakola, eby'oluzungu, eby'oluganda, eby'olunyankole, buli kalonde yonna baguteerako buteezi. N'olwekyo mukwano gyaffe tusubga yangwa mangu.
Untitled TV, empowering you.
Welcome back from the short break. It is still Bridget and Samantha on the Youth Feedback, Untitled TV, empowering you, and with our guest Ndihura Elkanah. While in the break, we were discussing some other issues now to do with disease. We were talking about disease and how we can prevent disease. He was giving us now the other sociology of illness, how we can prevent it other than, just waiting for that time and you go for medication. So you had also talked about the green businesses, but we were still talking about them. We hadn't talked about them in detail. And this takes us to ways or actions that we are going to do to mitigate the climate change injustices.
So the International Training Center, which is a partner initiative of the International Labour Organization. The Labour Organization, the one which dictates all the jobs that we do, all things that we do. It's the one that monitors. Those who go, people you hear going to Abu Dhabi, whether they are doctors here, whether they are teachers here, that's the determinant, the one which stipulates the labor issues. So it defines the green business as decent jobs, like those, if you think of white collar jobs that people talk about, green businesses are the green jobs, are the decent jobs of our time. So there are very many examples. The most common ones are the roadside flower tree people you see. Those women, most of them are women. Those women and young children that are always there. They are doing green business. You go get some manure, put in a park, put the plant, it grows, sell it 5,000. And they have business. Every time people pass, they are buying. I've been a client many times, both for a home and the things we do in the community, putting these trees to schools, So it's a very good business, very profitable. When you are in your home, even people who stay in town, did you know that you can grow green things in your compound?
Of course.
Even when it is small, even those who have tiled compounds. Yes, it's a green deal. You go, buy a packet, take in.
These days we have also Kruwa cement.
And this is why I emphasized. That even when your compound is cemented, you can have those because they are just tinned. They are always packed in tins, or you can even do that yourself. Just get. I have seen innovations. Now, a woman, whenever she takes water, mineral water, this rains or the big one, she will cut just a little bit top, and then put soil and the other manure, because she uses all the family corrections from hens, she corrects and makes manure. So you put there, put soil, put a plant. If you reach her home, stay there in Rugazi. If you reach her home, you actually be impressed. She has done all these things herself. She does not buy on the road. Wow. She does them, and she has an executive home. She does these things herself. So even when the area is cemented, you can still do a green business. Then there are, like I was telling you, there are other green businesses in investment. You can invest in forests. You can get 70 acres and put forests out. You can make them farms. These fruit trees, because that we are just here talking about climate change. That is sustainable development goal 13. But all the other sustainable development goals work hand in hand with that. Hunger, poverty, 1, 2, SDGs 1, 2. They are here. If you plant a mango, or if you put an estate of mangoes, you're going to have 1 mangoes. This is food. I'm using mangoes. Imagine it was avocado or something. It is food. People are going to have food. Hunger off. You're going to sell the mangoes. You have the money. Poverty off. This 1 tree of a mango, if it has yielded very well, can pay school fees of someone in high school. Just one like this. The current price, the mango is 2,000. Think about 200 mango fruits and look at the money. Poverty off. People are not going to be malnourished. In the hospital here, we struggle with malnutrition. Children come, look at a child, see they are just lacking essential nutrients, which are just from our fruits. Potassium, vitamins. They are just not having. They are malnourished. They are there. They are starving. You look at the child and you see this one has lacked nutrients. But the mangoes are supposed to be helping such. But people have land. What are they doing? They are not doing anything there. So it's a green business. It's a green area. It's a green right where you would put your money and it comes 100% returns. You understand? So people should need to understand that. And it's a work. It's your role, you and me. Since we are still young and can speak, people, choir leaders, choir masters. If you're a choir master in church, use 1 minute to speak about this. Address malnutrition. Remind people that fruits can help someone to get some nutrients, some vitamins. So if women hear that, then everyone will want their child to be okay. They will go and implement. So it's our voice, it's our turn.
True. We always speak, but it's not mandatory to act.
You can act.
We always speak, but we find actions are rare. As a youth leader, as an activist, what do you think about the youth, the role of now the youth in implementing these actions? Because I'm talking in a perspective of the youth, because this is the youth feedback. What do you think can motivate these youth, to implement these actions?
So the motivation is mindset. Mindset is a big issue. It's a reason why, despite why right now would be busy somewhere, maybe doing something medical, maybe helping a patient somewhere, it's a reason why I create some time to speak about these things. Because to me, I'm concerned. I always feel like, why should people keep coming to the hospital for things that can be prevented? with the little budget the country has on health, why can't we reduce the number of people coming to the hospital? Because health is made at home. If you do good things at home, you're going to be healthy. So why should the people come? Because mind you, certain diseases that come from climate change, like these chest problems, cancers, if you come here, they always come back, relapse. Because if you have been affected by smoke, if you go home and you keep with smoke, it's not going to end. Cancer is not curable. We just give you something to keep you around. You will die. So things are not curable, but can be preventable. So youth must change their mindset, must know that these things concern them. The future is ours. While we are having global warming, just know 30 years from now, it will be you and me enjoying this world. Our parents will not be there whom we can blame for this. So if we do something now, the future will be okay for us. So let's use our smartphones to Google about green businesses, for example, and see what we can do. If you have studied a course in business, don't rush to do a white-collar job in office or balancing books. Even if you're balancing books, the little money you're getting, think about a green business you can manage. So let's use our smartphones to do this work, but also to spread the message to our parents, because youth have a voice. There are many, over 70% in the country, and many people rely on us. Most MPs have people called political assistants who are young. So if you tell your MP that, by the way, let's order our people to buy this reserve, let's protect it for our community, the MP will listen. So let's use the platforms, the voices, and the energy and the powers to do this work. Let's be motivated, because it is profitable. If you prevent disease, you're not going to be sick. You have your money reserved. Health care is one of the most expensive avenues of most families. Actually, if most families solve the problem of going to the hospital, they would be rich. Because let me give you a simple fraction. Someone with 5 children, if 3 of them are going to the clinic for diarrhea or for typhoid or diarrhea, in 2 months, the budget of over 200,000 for a common man will not be. That money will not be there. So imagine that money was saved. People would be having money. So that's where we should get our motivation from as young people. Do you want your children to be like that? Definitely not. Why not act? It's possible.
Indeed, it is possible. Let us act. Let us put these things in action, because if at all you are told to plant a tree, let's plant trees. In my senior 6, that was 2018, I have been to lead a campaign. It was also Save the Environment campaign, and I think we planted over 1,000 trees, and I also took some trees home and we planted the trees, and those trees are flourishing apparently.
This is good. If you go to, when I was Secretary General of Nature Uganda, that time, that's when Chihumuro had started shining the way you see it now. So there was a convocation land, very big hill towards the extreme side. It's something you can walk for 30 minutes on foot. It's a very large chunk of land. So we made a campaign, we solicited money from ourselves and our patron here, Sister Jenny Yatwa. We went there, we planted over something like 160 trees, and we had the guts. You can imagine coming from here in the evening to Chihumuro to water the trees. Can you imagine? It was our initiative because we wanted to see those trees there, and they are there now. It's almost a forest. Recently, when we had started the climate change project, we worked with Youth Go Green. You have heard about it. We hosted a very big conference, and we made sure everyone in the conference planted a tree on that side which neighbors raised, still in Chihumuro. If you go there, you'll see these rare trees that are shaped like is it elephant grass? You'll see that type of a tree. It's a very good one, and they are flourishing. These things are possible if you have a will to work about them.
They are possible. It's just a matter of changing our mindset, and we do the best. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
And then to the viewers who have been following us, thank you so much for loving AAT TV, empowering you, and thank you so much for following following till the end, we remain Bridget and Samantha with a guest of the day who is Nduhura Elkanah. We say thank you and bye-bye. We meet next Saturday, same time at 11 a.m.